11-game win streak comes to a close as the Denver Nuggets beat the Jazz by the final score of 128-117. Where, if any, areas of concern and what our thoughts are after the Jazz lose one, all coming up on Postcast. Hi, I'm David Locke. This is Postcast, your quick 10-minute post-game show after every Jazz game that comes to you live on Locked On Live on Twitter. Locked On Live on Facebook, on Twitch, as well as on YouTube. And it comes at DLock09 on Twitter. That's DLock09 on Twitter, which means I actually need to get rid of my little caption because that's not my Twitter handle anymore. So DLock09 on Twitter for you if you're not following me already. A bunch of different aspects of this ball game tonight, but the big story is that the Nuggets hit 8 of 8 from 3 to start the game in the first quarter. First team ever in the history of the NBA to make that many threes without a miss. They go 15 of 17 in the first half. They're the 18th team in the history of the NBA to ever make 15 threes and a half. The fewest attempts prior to tonight was 22. I am a very large believer that three-point shooting defense is luck. That is a kind of theory that's out there in the analytic world, and I generally think for it to be true. It's why I'm also such a massive believer in location defense. And so, you know, tonight I would say that I actually didn't think in the first half that the Jazz looked defensively that terrible. I thought Denver was pretty remarkable. I thought the Jazz had a third quarter stint where they looked like they kind of lost their will a little bit, and then right after that, they fired back, actually got the game down to 11 or 12 and showed some pretty nice fight in that section. So the one time of the night where I actually thought the Jazz kind of were gotten riddled and gotten beat up and kind of had quit a tiny bit was in that third quarter, and they actually came back and battled out of this to get closer than they were at any other point in the ball game. So, number one takeaway today is that Denver was just outstanding. Number two takeaway from a Jazz standpoint is Bojan Bogdanovic had 29 tonight on another good three-point shooting game. So that's a great sign for the Jazz. 2 games in a row for Bogey to get going. He was, I believe, 5 of 10 from 3 tonight, coming off 7 of 11. So he's 12 of his last 21 from 3. That's a great sign. He's back up over 40%. The probably bigger sign for Bogey is I think he's 6 for 6 now at the rim in his last 6 attempts after having missed 5 straight. He went 3 for 3 tonight, 3 for 3 the other night. And that's where his shooting was. The Jazz tried something defensively early in the game. It seemed like 1 or 2 times. Not every time. They were really switching up how they were trying to defend Jokic. One of the systems was that the Jazz decided to put Bogdanovic on Jokic, have Rudy on Millsap. This is the same kind of thing they did with Trae Young and some other guys, and they did just a few nights ago with Porzingis and Doncic, where they have Rudy guard the least active offensive player, and then basically Rudy's playing a one-man zone around the rim. One of the biggest things Quinn wants to do defensively is to have Rudy stay near the rim and not get caught out at 24 feet. Early in the year, the Jazz got beat a lot. When people pulled Rudy out, they just went one-on-one by our guys. And so you're seeing the Jazz work ways to always keep Rudy at the rim. And tonight, that didn't work great early in the ballgame. I'm not sure it dictated the game. I think there were some other factors, but that one didn't work as well tonight. So, my first question coming in from WG was any thoughts on Quinn hiding Gobert from Jokic? So I would phrase it differently. What they're trying to, here's the premise. What they're trying to do is make sure that Rudy's always at the rim. So how can they, so the other night Rudy guarded Dorian Finney-Smith. They just decided they didn't care if Dorian Finney-Smith shot threes. Against Atlanta, they did something similar so that every time Trae Young drove, there was Rudy. Capella was on the floor. It's a little easier. Against Dallas, they did it with Dorian Finney. You're seeing, so the premise was, fine, if Millsap's going to go beat us with the corner 3, which he's pretty good at, let's make Millsap beat us with a corner 3. Then when Jokic is working on on a high pick and roll with Jamal, then Bogdanovic can go out and guard him. If he rolls to the basket, then Rudy's there. I'll have to go back and watch the first quarter. They tried it early. It clearly didn't work. I don't think they kept it going on for very long. I'll be honest, sometimes it's a play-by-play announcer. You don't notice it all the time. I did notice it early, so I said at one point in the broadcast with Ron, it'll be interesting to go back and look at Jokic's 47 points and see who was guarding him and what the matchups were. I actually thought Faves did the best job of anyone on him, which is pretty traditional to what the numbers have said over the years, is that Faves has done the best job. Because this is actually very similar to what the Jazz used to do to Jokic, which is, and they did this not only to Jokic, but they've done this to LaMarcus Aldridge, and I'm trying to think of some other good post players. There's somebody I'm not thinking of, but they would have Faves guard him and then have Rudy hovering, and it would cause them a lot of problems. Oh, Anthony Davis. They did that to Anthony Davis a lot as well. Let's go to Aiden. If this is what it takes to beat us, I'm fine with this loss. You know, there is an aspect that our math advantage on the threes is so significant that it does take something like this. Like, we lost our 3-point math advantage tonight. We made 20 again, by the way, so that's the 7th time we've done that. We've made 15 or more in 10 straight games, which is the most of any team in NBA history, tying Houston. We made the most threes of any team in a calendar month. Matt Kundle, was the defense really bad or Jokic really good? I'm going with Jokic good. He's the MVP of the league right now in my book at 40, I think. Denver's clicked in. They've won 6 of 7. I think they're about to go on a mammoth run. I think he's going to have a strong MVP run at it. They got Will Barton went 4 for 4 from 3. He's not done that since he played on a Nerf hoop in his room by himself. He is just not a traditionally good shooter. Like, they went nuts. So I'm taking that they were that good. I'll have to go back and look at it. But my guess is, like, we look at QSQ, which is shot quality you give up, and then you look at QSI, which is the quality of shot that goes in above what you defended. I would guess this was the highest QSI night of any team by anyone all year long. I would certainly guess this is the best shooting night of any team all season long. I feel that Jokic is either impossible to guard or at least incredibly hard to guard. I think those are both true, Alex. Winston, Dennis, Denver shooting lights out. Denver put up a decent effort. How do the Jazz slow down the Nuggets? This would be the area of concern. So if you want to leave tonight with a concern because we lost a game, even if we'd won the game, this would still be my concern. We can't stop them. Even in the win of our 19 games prior to tonight, it was our 17th ranked defensive performance. We couldn't stop them in the bubble either until game 7, second half. Like, whatever it is about their makeup, about Jokic, about their personnel, about who they are, about how they play, we really have a hard time stopping them. We got one of the best defenses in the league, and for whatever reason, this group, we have a hard time. Jokic is the reason. Like, if it's not whatever reason, it's Jokic. Like, that's just a player we can't seem to be able to have an impact on. So that would be my concern, because we're going to have to see Denver in the playoffs at some point, unless, as a 2 or 3 seed, you don't see them because they're the 4. But I think they're going to make it's going to be really, there's going to be the 4 teams here, Clippers, Lakers, Denver, Jazz, are going to separate themselves from the rest of the West, and then have a little dogfight for who decides to rest guys or not rest guys down the stretch, and whether it matters or not when you're in the playoffs. The script for beating the Jazz is good. All you have to do is shoot 88% from 3 in the first half. Yeah, that'll do it. I promise. Every night. Manny says, if Denver shoots their averages, this is a different great game. Outlier of a shooting night from Denver. It's a make or miss league. I'm with you 100%. And they took our math advantage away. We've had a math advantage in every game. You guys are with me. Maybe you've been brainwashed by some podcast you listen to every day. Who knows? Most of these threes were well contested, hard to will when everything drops like that. I would agree. I know the Jazz defense was not bad, but are the Jazz better off not having Donovan play the point? Donovan is our 3rd best point guard. Pure point guard skills, Donovan is our 3rd best point guard. Scoring skills of those point guards, Donovan's the best. How do you play in our system? Does it matter who starts the ball? I don't know. But I would say that Joe and Mike are more natural ball distributing point guards than Donovan. They've also done it a lot longer than Donovan. We sometimes forget Donovan never did this until really last year after we moved Rubio, right? Rubio was our primary point guard, and then we started moving Donovan. And really now we're playing Donovan in games without Mike in that second unit to let him learn how to do this. So so it wasn't until Mike's injuries last year with Rubio gone and Rubio's injuries the year before. And the story always was that was good for Donovan's numbers, but not our offense. So that's still a work in progress for Donovan. No question. We have to remember, like, when we start comparing Donovan to Dame Lillard and these other guys, like, Lillard's in his 9th or 10th year and Donovan's in his 4th or 5th. So I mean, like we're still have an infantile developing star on our hands in that sense. Why did Quinn start with a crazy defense with Bogey on Jokic? I think I explained that. I don't know if they'll do it again, but maybe that's what got Jokic going. It wasn't like we've been stopping Jokic with Rudy either. Let's be perfectly frank about that. All right, I think that wraps us up. But I'm going to close this show every day with me like finding the most idiotic comment in our chat room, and then no, I'm just kidding. Adam, you're bright. That's not a bright comment. You don't need to do that. Seems like Donovan's been off for a while now. Yeah, like the game he got a concussion and the first game he got back. Before that, he was averaging like 29 points for like 8 straight games. Hey, Eric, thanks for wishing me happy anniversary. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Adam, I'm just playing with you. Have a good one.